You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
Welcome back to Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan, broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios, brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency, and Extreme Exteriors. Before we get into our next topic here, I'd like to let all our listeners know we've got a free gift for you. It's a bi-monthly newsletter called What's New. A lot of what you'll hear on the radio show we cover in further detail. People that we have as guests on the show are also contributors to that newsletter as well. All you have to do is give us a call during the week at New Concepts at 952-922-2500. Ask for Lori. She'll make sure that you start receiving your copy free, either electronically or by mail. And would like to highlight this. Our most recent issue deals with areas of discrimination and what is considered a reasonable accommodation. It's an issue you won't want to miss. And we also have a listing in there of special webinars that we put on that you can, in the comfort of your own home, take to be able to understand what it means to be a member in a homeowners association. Perhaps you're on the board and you want to know what's the role of myself being on the board, being a president, a treasurer. Well, we cover that and so much more on those webinars. That's information you can get in the newsletter or by going to our website at www.newconceptsgroup.com. Well, let's deal with our next story. This comes from Summerville, South Carolina. And there is an issue in a particular townhome association that is escalating to hate crime status. What's happening is there is a townhome association called Corey Gardens in Summerville, South Carolina. And apparently, two of the homes within the last week or so have had painted on the homes swastikas and anti-Semitic and anti-Black racial slurs, foul language, spray painting on windows on two of the homes. Locks to the home have been super glued. Letters have been sent out throughout people in the HOA community with the same racial slurs and comments being made. Some of the more cleaner comments that I can actually mention here on the radio, one was someone said, "We run Corey Gardens, not some renter trash like you." Now, the police have been called. They're trying to follow up on all leads right now to find out who's at the bottom of this. They're even doing a yeoman's job by placing officers close at hand most of any given day as of late over the last week or two in the homes as well. People in the HOA have been interviewed, and they agree it's terrible. A number of people claim that they think they know who's doing this, and they think it's someone in the association, but none will say at this time publicly. And I've got to say, I've got to commend people for doing that. I mean, it's easy to just quickly point a finger and make an accusation, but you really don't want to do so unless you've got some information. But what is going on here? Why all of a sudden is there this kind of outrage in the community? Why were a couple of homes being targeted to receive this kind of sentiment and vandalism on their homes? Well, the reason appears to be because of one particular family or couple. Their names are Bradford and Nancy Carey. It all started, it appears, when Bradford, after listening to folks at the poolside talk about the fact that the pool was not open on Monday. So we know that Corey Gardens has a swimming pool that the residents of this association enjoy, but it's closed every Monday. So Bradford, what he did is he wrote a letter to the HOA board asking if they would consider keeping the pool open on Mondays And he said, I would be willing to volunteer to do the job of the pool man because I know that he doesn't work on Mondays. This seems to be a harmless question that's being asked, but what was it that caused all this vitriol, this ugly sentiment, this vandalism, this ugly rhetoric from some of the people or from one person in the association? Well, the problem, I think, stems from the fact that the Careys are not homeowners at this particular association at Corey Gardens. They're renters. And someone apparently took offense to the idea that a renter is even asking for something in the association, because in one of the letters that was sent to the Careys here, it ended with, it was anonymously written, but it said, this is by someone who has lived here a lot longer than you. And what I want to do is I'd like to address this idea of how renters are viewed many times in an HOA. Now, it's true, if someone is renting in a homeowners association, they do not have the same rights of ownership that the members who own the unit do. They are just having the use and enjoyment of the unit from the owner who's renting out to them as the landlord. But even with that being said, even though the renter does not have the same rights of ownership that the others do, that doesn't mean that they're a second-class citizen. There are a lot of things that I have heard over and over again that are misnomers about renters in a homeowners association. And people have said this over and over again. These are the things I hear. Renters, they're messy, not like us homeowners. They're inconsiderate. They don't care about the property in the same way that an owner does. And while it's true they may not care in the same manner because the owner has to put in money for its operation and maintenance, I don't think it's necessarily true that it is true that a renter is more inconsiderate or any more messy than an owner of the unit. We've got to remember there's something here that's involved called human nature. And I can tell you that in a number of multifamily dwellings, condominium associations where no rentals are allowed, there are still some really huge issues with people being inconsiderate and messy and not picking up after themselves. Because what happens is, like I said, it's human nature. Someone makes a spill on their way to the laundry room, and they figure, I'm not going to take the time to clean it up. They've got a caretaker. They'll get to it with their vacuum cleaner, and so they just leave it for everybody else to see and have to trample on. And that kind of thing happens over and over again. So I really don't think that it is true that a renter is any messier or any more inconsiderate than anyone else. I remember mentioning to one board earlier this week, because they were talking about the subject of renters. That came up in a discussion at one board meeting that I had with some folks. And I pointed out the fact that most of all homeowners, including those in the room that evening, most likely started out as a renter ever before they became a homeowner. So is it really true that renters are any more messy, any more inconsiderate? Isn't a homeowner just someone who was a former renter? What makes them different? Are they all of a sudden model citizens just because they have ownership of a home instead of renting it? I think we need to be careful here, especially because there are a lot of things that an association has to deal with fair housing and discrimination concerns. We've talked about that on the show before, and I'd like to deal with that a little bit more here, but I can see by the clock that we're going to have to take a break, so let's do that right now. When we come back, I'd like to address that situation about this idea of renters in a homeowners association. What are things that a board or an association must be careful of so not to be accused of breaking fair housing laws or of discrimination? I'll share that after these messages.